Sometimes kids can be downright creepy, and in horror movies, it's even worse than in real life. Let's go ahead and take a look at 20 of the most famous horror movie kids and just see where they might rank when it comes to creepiness. We're going to start off with one of the OG scary kids from the movie The Bad Seed. We've got Rhoda Penmark. This movie came out in 1956 based on a book. If you've never heard of this movie, this little girl, she murders some little kid because he wins like a penmanship contest that she wanted to win. And then you find out through the movie, this is spoilers, that it turns out the mom was adopted and that her real family, like her mom was a serial killer. And so she's like, oh no, did it like pass down into my kid? Which is where the title comes from and everything. You look at her and she looks all nice and everything, but she's pretty cutthroat and scary when it comes to the ways that she's talking about these things. She almost gets away with everything too, except for an act of God steps in and literally she just gets struck by lightning out of nowhere, which is a pretty great ending, I think, to any movie. She lays the groundwork for a lot of what will come up later when it comes to other scary kids in movies. I think she'll land really just comfortably in that C tier. Next up, we're going to have the kids from the movie The Village of the Damned. So what's going on is in this story, like 8 years ago, everybody in this town like passed out. When they woke up, all the ladies were pregnant, and it turns out this like they're alien babies. And it happened all over the world. Like there's little villages where it happened. And but this is the last one because every other country in the world has like killed these kids because they have like brain powers where they can like read your mind and control you. Throughout the movie, the kids are kind of trying to get to the point where they will be protected so that they can take over the world eventually, you know, once they finish growing up. They're also growing up really fast. You just look at these guys, like, and it's okay to say these kids look creepy. It's not like a normal kid who you're just looking at and it's like, that's not nice. You shouldn't call that kid creepy. They gave these kids super creepy blonde haircuts that all match each other. They got glowing eyes. And again, just the way that they're acting is like very, very strange. Just to give examples of the kind of things that these kids are doing with their mind powers. They're straight up like making people drive their cars into brick walls or having people like shotgun themselves. And so, yeah, they're pretty nasty. Going off looks alone and their ability to make people die, I think that they're going to be an A tier. Then we get to 1973, The Exorcist, one of the most famous scary kids. Regan is possessed by a demon, and like everybody's trying to figure out what's going on. So there's a lot of scary things going on around her, but once she is like full blown possessed, it's very, very scary. This is one of those things where if I even like kept like a certain image of Regan, it'll make me not want to go to sleep for a while because I still get freaked out by her. I still think she's creepy and everything. Very effective. I think the fact that this movie is as old as it is, like 50 years old, and still manages to hold up scary wise when it comes to just images and the performance here really speaks a lot to it. She's going to be an S tier. Now we're at The Omen. Damien is like the son of the devil. The main couple in the movie, their kid dies, and so they end up adopting this one. And they didn't know where he came from or anything. And so they end up raising the devil's kid. And he makes all kinds of creepy bad things happen. People are getting decapitated by sheets of glass. People are jumping off of, you know, buildings and, you know, getting themselves killed. And just lots and lots of chaos is going on around this kid. It's the opposite of Regan. Like, you don't look at this kid automatically and think, oh yeah, he's very scary. Like, he could just be a normal kid if he wasn't dressed the way that he is and like standing among the gravestones like he is in the picture up there. But, you know, in general, he just looks like a normal kid. But man, when he turns around at the end of the movie and gives that little smile after everything's gone down, it's pretty creepy. I'm going to put Damien in the A tier. 1978 brings us the original Halloween, Michael Myers. Now we're talking just as a kid. I don't care about the shape walking around, but just as a kid, the most disturbing thing about this to me is how real it is. It's unsettling in a way that, you know, some of these more fantastical things aren't, because, you know, it's not that far removed from things you actually hear about happening in the news. And then the fact that he's just a very normal looking kid, something that gets lost a bit, I think, in the Rob Zombie like remakes of it. Nothing against the kid who plays Michael Myers in that, but I don't know. He doesn't look like this guy. He's not like a cute little kid. He's definitely older and everything. It's not the most memorable part of the movie, so I think I'm going to put Michael Myers down into that C tier. Now, not every creepy kid in a movie is a bad guy. Danny Torrance in The Shining, creepy. he's not bad, right? He's got special powers called the Shining, where like he's seeing all kinds of scary stuff. He can like psychically connect with other people who have the power and everything as well. Wonderfully portrayed by Ewan McGregor in the sequel to The Shining and Doctor Sleep. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. He does do his little finger talking, he like Tony, which is one of those things where it's like, if you have kids, they do weird things like that. But if they keep doing it, it's definitely could be something where it's like, please stop talking to me like this. It's starting to freak me out. Poor kid lives through the whole thing. And he lives through that haircut too. Like, my goodness. Overall, I think Danny's going to err more on the side of, just kind of normal and everything. Once everything's said and done, I'm going to get him into the D tier when it comes to creepiness. Now, staying with The Shining, though, the Grady twins, very iconic, right? You see them and it's like, okay, yeah, they're scary. Like, it's the iconic scary twins standing in a hallway, talking in unison in like old timey clothes. It's very much like something that sticks with you. Obviously, Danny thinks that they're scary with his reactions to them and everything. I'm gonna go B tier with them. Off to another nice creepy kid, and this is going to be Carol Ann from Poltergeist. Now, this is a movie that I think is getting forgotten a bit, just because it's kind of dated with a lot of the things that are in it. But I definitely think it's worth a watch, especially this Halloween season. But in Poltergeist, the house is haunted, right? Carol Ann's able to kind of see the ghosts and everything through the TV and through the static and all this, and just kind of know what's going on and feel what's going on with them before she gets taken by them eventually, and then the family trying to get her back and everything. She's got a great line, one of the most iconic lines from 80s horror. They're here. And with her help, like, this movie kind of made static on TVs scary. Luckily, not something you really have to worry about anymore. Now, when it comes to her creepiness level itself, I think it's very low. The actress and the things that happened to her and to everybody else involved in the production of this movie are something that I think can put a chill down your spine. And that's something that I'm planning on talking about later on this month on the channel. But again, just back to her creepiness wise, I think I'm going to put her all the way down in F. I think that she's a fun kid, right? Who's got scary stuff happening around her. Back in 1983, they did a movie version of The Twilight Zone, which they took some classic episodes of the show and they updated them and put them in there. And one of the shorts is about a kid named Anthony who has these like godlike powers to pretty much make anything that he imagines come to life. And he traumatizes a bunch of people with these abilities, as you would imagine anybody would, but especially like a kid who has like no empathy and everything and just wants what he wants. It's kind of a scary thought. I think that the performance of the kid doesn't add to how scary it is. Like, the thought of it outside of the movie is definitely a lot scarier. It doesn't help that it's like Joe Dante is directing this part, the guy who did Gremlins and everything. So it's not like it's taken that seriously, which I think leads to a fun part of the movie, but it's definitely not terror inducing or anything like that. But again, concept, the story, get it at least up into that C tier. In Children of the Corn, there's a whole town of scary kids we could be picking. I'm going to focus in on Isaac, like the leader of the whole group. Now, even though the character of Isaac is only supposed to be like 12 years old, the guy who's playing him was 24. So I don't know, it kind of helps lend to like him feeling like an older soul and everything. But he's like the leader of this cult of kids who take over this town and like just murder everybody that lives there, all the adults. But you just look at this kid and you're like, little pilgrim hat, all those dark bags under his eyes, which again, no judgment here when it comes to that. Just need a little more sleep, kid. I think I'm going to put him in that B tier. Drew Barrymore showing up playing Charlie in the movie Firestarter here. Not talking about that awful version that came out last year starring Zac Efron. It's not good. It's stinky. Do not watch. But when it comes to this one, I think that she's all right. She's got these psychokinetic powers where she can light things on fire. And yeah, that again is a scary thought, and somebody being able to do those kind of things, especially a kid where they don't have any kind of real restraint or anything. She definitely lights some people up and is not afraid to do that. I'm going to be putting her in that B tier. Now it is 1989. The movie is Pet Sematary. Hey, the year that I was born. I know you're not going to believe me, but I promise you it's true. In Pet Cemetery, you find out if you bury things in this little spot of land, for whatever reason, things come back to life, but they don't come back to life as themselves. They come back as something bad, which leads people in the movie to be saying, sometimes dead is better. And that's going to go really well for Gage here. This guy's doing one of the worst injuries you can see somebody do in a movie. He's slicing those Achilles tendons for whatever reason. It's very visceral. The thought of this thing that you once really cared for and loved and was good, now kind of being perverted in this way and being used for these like malicious things to come in to do just awful badness with, it's just very disturbing. And I think the kid does a great job. I think you recognize him from Kindergarten Cop. I knew him mostly from Full House growing up, but yeah, so I think that this is a really high one. I don't think I'm going to quite be able to get it up into S tier, but we're going to go A with it. Macaulay Culkin showing up here, and no, I'm not saying that he's creepy in the movie Home Alone. We're talking about The Good Son, where him and Elijah Wood battle it out for the love of Macaulay Culkin's mom. This character is very similar to, the girl in The Bad Seed, but really kind of just blown up to like 11. He's doing some real messed up stuff in this movie. Like he throws a little girl on ice skates over onto some thin ice and she almost drowns. And like he, throws like things over an overpass and up onto the freeway and everything. And just a lot of messed up stuff. He's always trying to pin things on Elijah Wood. He's just like this good kid. And so you just feel really bad for him the whole time. He's like, he's crazy. And everyone's like, nah, he's not. Until eventually the mom finds out what's going on and everything and gets involved. And man, the end of this movie, just real quick spoilers, is so awesome. I love it when she drops him off the cliff. It's very good, very satisfying. He does such a good job at making you feel like this kid is evil and bad and knows exactly what they're doing. It's another one of those kind of realistic ones that make me feel a little nervous just in general. So I'm going to be putting it in that B tier. Another not bad, but still creepy kid is Cole from The Sixth Sense. The kid's kind of creepy, right? Saying he's seeing ghosts and everything, but then you start to see the ghosts too. And you're like, okay, well, maybe this kid isn't so bad after all. And he's the one that's actually being traumatized and scared by all of this stuff that's going on. I think Haley Joel Osment is just fantastic in this part, really just kind of playing the scaredness, but then also the power that comes from him, kind of mastering it and helping out the ghosts to be able to kind of finish their business and everything. So I'm going to put him low. I'm going to put him in the D tier. Him and Danny, I think, fun team up. Now we're at The Ring, which is the remake, the American version. Samara, this girl that got drowned in a well because she has like some kind of like powers and everything. She's crawling through TVs and stuff. So I'm going to worry about her when she's actually a ghost. Very creepy, very scary. She's messing people up after they watch videotape 7 days, right? And then you die. So I think I'm going to want to put her pretty high, just because she's got that drippiness to her as well. Like whenever she's going anywhere, it's very wet, like the water's just running out, which I think just kind of adds to her presence and everything. So I think I might be able to put her up in that S tier, especially when you don't see her face, when it's behind the hair and everything. I think that very, very scary. I don't think by any means she's above Reagan, but I think she deserves to be, up there with her. But Toshio from The Grudge is not really doing it for me as much, especially because like the scary sound he's making is like the cat screaming and everything. I don't know. It just kind of takes me out of it a little bit. I'm definitely got some good jumps and everything out of him showing up where he shouldn't be. But he got murdered also, him by his dad, him and his mom, both of them. And so again, just very sad. Like all these ghost stories just being so sad all the time. Now he might land higher for other people, but for me personally, I don't think I honestly want to put him any higher than C. So we've just talked about 2 remakes, but I'm going to talk about the original version of Let the Right One In here with Ellie. She's a vampire. There's one scene with a swimming pool specifically where you really get the full just power and everything of her just shown. And I think that it's scary. I think that the idea again of like what you think is one thing actually being something else, like you think it's this kid, but it's actually this super old, powerful being that can just rip you apart in like 2 seconds if they really wanted to. I'm going to put her in B tier. So now we got Orphan and we got Esther, and spoilers for Orphan. She's not actually a little kid. She's actually an old lady. And by old, I mean somebody my age. But old or not, no, she looks like a kid, so she's going to fall on this list. She goes around trying to seduce these families, and then when they're like, I'm not interested in that, she murders them. And she's very manipulative of everybody in the family, especially like the little daughter. By the end of the movie, she's very creepy. I think I'm going to go A. I'm going to go A. That feels right. Now in the movie, we have Georgie. Is this actually Georgie? No, it's not. And this isn't a spoiler because it's in like the first 5 minutes of the movie. Georgie is dead. He got eaten by a sewer clown, as you do. But he does show up from time to time in the movie in his classic raincoat and everything to kind of scare the kids and make them more afraid of Pennywise so that they'll taste better when he eats them. I think they do a great job making him creepy, that's for sure. And you do feel sad for him. I like that opening kill in that movie is very effective. He just kind of turns into like a zombie and like the scenes you see him again. I think I'm going to put him in C tier. And then lastly, we have Charlie from the movie Hereditary. No, she does like weird noises. She does creepy things like cutting the heads off of birds. I think it was a dead bird. I'm pretty sure it was a dead bird. But then, you do feel really sorry for her at different points of the movie as well. I don't know. I'm still like up in the air on exactly where I land. But when it comes to like her performance and everything, it's good. She does a good job really kind of bringing some unease to every scene that she's in, but just straight up creepiness, it's not like rating too high for me, especially by the end of the movie. By the end of the movie, I'm like, oh, she definitely was not the creepiest thing going on. But I'll put her in B. I'll put her in B tier. And that's going to finish out our list. Those are some of the creepiest kids in horror movie history. Let me know what you think. Let me know if I definitely missed somebody, like if I just left somebody off my list, because I try not to bring up a ton of people I didn't know a lot about. So maybe I just didn't see the movie that they're in or just don't know about it. To do a big shout out to everybody who's supporting me over on Patreon right now, which is Cole from the Dork Side. And just go check out his channel. We like to do some stuff over there. Been involved on live streams and everything with him. It's just a really good time hanging out with Cole and his audience. So yeah, if you want to support the channel, you can also check out the Patreon. But if you want to support the channel and not go and check out Patreon, you can just like this video, subscribe to my channel to get future tier lists and just videos talking about movies. We're focusing in on a lot of horror stuff this week. So just thanks so much for stopping by. Just appreciate you being here. All right, take care. I'll see you next time. Bye.